it's okay to fail. I was the person who was always wanting to be the first person to didn't accept to fail. So it was pretty hard for me to fail for the first time. I skipped the five questions, the five first questions. I skipped because I was so nervous. I was not reading. I was not paying attention.
Andreza is one of our engineer students who graduated from Brazil in 2015. During the process of studying and taking her FE exam, she experienced a lot of anxiety, but she was able to overcome it with the help of some techniques that she's going to share with us in this interview. Now, if you are currently feeling anxious about your upcoming FE exam or even feeling lost and overwhelmed, you're going to enjoy this interview. Hi, Andreza. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity, Kenza.
Awesome. Okay, so can you tell us a little bit why did you decide to take your FE exam?
Okay, so I graduated in Brazil. I'm from Brazil. And when I came to United States, I came just to do an exchange, a cultural exchange. When I got married in 2020, I decided that I wanted to go back to my career. I didn't want to lose all the years studying, and that's because I'm also passionate for civil engineering. So I decided to take that fee because when I started for looking for jobs, um, I noticed that most of the jobs they were requiring for the ELT certification, and when I searched it up, what was that? I couldn't find that I had to pass in this FE exam. So I put it in my challenge list that I had to take this FE exam to prove to myself and for the others that it doesn't matter where you graduate, you have the chance to be an engineer or whatever you want, where else you want. So that was my main goal. Like, I need to prove to myself that I am engineer in the United States. So how can I prove that to the others? And was taking the FE exam. So that was the first step that I could do for myself to prove that I was engineer. And it doesn't matter if you graduate in another country, if you pass the FE exam, you're proving to the others that you know what you're doing, you know the numbers, you are a civil engineer or whatever engineer you choose. So that's why I took that fee.
That's awesome. I love that. Yeah, I think the FE exam can open a lot of opportunities. And like you said, like doesn't matter where you graduate from, you can still practice civil engineering in America as long as you get your FE and your PE, which is awesome,
Yeah,
right? It opens a lot of
exactly.
opportunities.
It is.
Okay. What do you think you struggled the most with to pass your FE exam? When you started first going into this journey, what were the struggles that you had to face?
The struggle that I had to face was I love to study. So the studies was very nice. The path was very enjoyable for me because um, you learn at the school, you learn at the college, when you're doing the classes and etc. But I think it was when I came back to study again, was my second chance to learn better, So sometimes, I was like, oh, I didn't realize that in college, but right now I understand, how it does and how it looks, how we do. So you have a few methods that you taught us in the course that I was like an amazing, like the zero force members. I learned that in a different way. So with your method, it was like easier for me. So right now, I don't think in the past anymore. I think how you taught me, and that was a different way for me to learn the same thing that I have learned like 7 years ago. So the challenge for me was to control myself, control my anxiety. I was doing well with the studies. I was not getting stressful. I didn't burn out. I took the time to study. I was studying for full time. I was not working. I was not doing anything else besides studying all day. So my main challenge was the stress before the test. That was very, very stressful for me. It was very hard for me to deal. I went to do therapy. I take therapies twice a month. And my therapist said, Andreza, you need to control your nervous. So you need to go to do meditation. You need to go out to do exercise. I don't know what you need to do. You need to find something to relieve this stress. So go to do something that you really enjoy and that you really like besides studying. You know, when you turn it off your computer, you turn it off your mind. And that was my challenge. I think it was my main challenge was focus and say, hey, it's okay if you don't pass for the first time. It's okay if you failed. This is only another step. It's another challenge in your life. You're not gonna die if you don't pass. So yeah.
So when you were preparing for your FE exam, and we'll get into that in terms of like schedule and how many months you were preparing for it. But so when you were studying, you would think about the exam day and then you start feeling anxious. Is that what happened? You were
Exactly.
enjoying learning and you were like, when you're learning, you had no problem with that because you enjoy that, you focus on learning. But then sometimes your brain will go to the day of the exam and then that's when the anxiety started for you.
Yes,
I see.
exactly, exactly. If someone is watching me, and then of course they are, if they felt the same way, if they felt the anxiety during the study, just because they are thinking about the exam day, I would say do something that you really enjoy. Like I did a meditation that was really helpful for me. 10 minutes every day before I start to study, I used to do the meditation by myself in the room, no distractions, and that helped me to understand that it's okay if I don't pass. It's okay if you fail. Don't put this pressure on your shoulders because it's just another challenge, you know. If you continue studying and doing well, you will pass. So don't push it too hard on you, you know. That's that I
Yeah.
was telling to myself every single day.
Yeah. So, oh, you mentioned a couple times it's okay to fail. And I want to talk a little bit about that. Do you feel like your anxiety was related to that, like you were afraid to fail? Or was it more about like, I'm not sure what this exam is about because you've never taken it before, and just like not knowing what to expect and how the exam is increase your anxiety, especially how you described it the day of the exam, you were very highly anxious, or maybe the combination of both? Do you think is that where your anxiety came from?
That was a combination of everything, you know. Like I didn't know what to expect from the exam. I didn't know how to do. I didn't know how was going to be at the day of the exam, and I have this very thing in my mind, this very thought that I cannot fail my whole history. You know, like oh, I have to do right. I have to be one of the first class, you know, class students, and I have to participate of everything. I have to do that and then that. And that was something that I've been dealing in my therapy because I don't need to be the first one. If I'm doing my best, that's enough.
Yeah, I think a lot of people struggle with that. Like failing is just, it's really hard to fail, and a lot of people don't want to fail. And I think that's what stops a
Yeah.
lot of people from taking the FE exam and retaking it. And so I want to thank you for really for being here and sharing your story. I think it's going to help a lot of people um, work through their own fears and their anxieties, and it's going to inspire a lot of people. So thank you for sharing that with us.
No, thank you for giving the opportunity. Actually, I have to confess that I was very, very happy to be here because I was like, oh my God, I need to be there one day. I have to, you know, that means that I passed FE. So that was
Yeah.
my like my trophy for you. Say, hey, yes, I got it. So yeah, no, I'm very happy to be here and tell to everybody that it's okay to fail. I was the person who was always wanting to be the first person to didn't accept to fail, so it was pretty hard for me to fail for the first time. But
Yeah, that's for sure. And I think also like for the students who are watching, like I think if you fail your FE exam, try to focus. And I know this could be hard at the moment, but try to look around, like almost like what you did, and just like try to see what you have in your life and kind of try, to be grateful for those things. And then you just come up with a new plan and keep studying, keep going forward, try not to give up, and then eventually you'll get there. Now, before we dive into your schedule, I do have one more question about, and this is about failing again. When you started studying the second time, were you afraid to fail again the second time? Did that ever come up in your mind, or were you just like,
no, I wasn't, because when I tried the first time and I got the result, I could see where I failed. And I failed in the first section. I failed in mathematics. I failed in economics. I failed in ethics. And I could understand why I failed. So when I talked to you on the phone and then you told me, were you very nervous? Were you suffering anxiety? And I said yes, because that happened to me when the woman at the desk the front desk asked me, where is your ID? I gave my calculator. That was my nervous. That was me going to the task, like. And I failed the first questions. I remember doing the 5 questions. I skipped the 5 questions. The five first questions I skipped because I was so nervous. I was not reading. I was not paying attention. So after 30 minutes doing the test, I was like, hey, that's okay. That's fine. Like, I know how to do that. I just need to be focused and read and pay attention. When I started to do well, so I did very well in the second section and very bad in the first section.
yeah,
So when I start to study for the second time and say, hey, I know how to do ethics. I know how to do economics. So I'm going to pass the second time. So no, for any moment in my second try, I have the thought that I was not going to pass.
yeah. Taking it and just knowing what it was like kind of helped you. And then also like seeing, okay, I know what went wrong. And I think this is the biggest one. I always tell students, if you fail your FE exam, and I know this is really hard, you have to sit down and be honest with yourself what went wrong, right?
Mm.
And because if you can't figure it out, okay, what were my mistakes, you're going to repeat them again. And so
Mhm.
like, and I think, that's what we try to do on that phone call. We try to go, okay, let's go back, let's assess, let's figure out what happened, what went wrong. And then, we came up with the plan. You went back and you know exactly what you needed to do. It took you 4 months, about 4 months, the second time. That's how much you prepared for the FE exam. How many
Mhm.
hours did you study during the week and during the weekend?
Look, I was not working at the time. I have not been working until now. So I was full time, 8 a.m. to 5, 6 p.m.
Wow, it's a
Yeah,
good
it was
job.
the whole day. We used to take a break to have lunch. Of course, some days more, a few days less, but
That's awesome. Okay, let's talk a little bit about materials. What material did you use to prepare for the FE?
so I started in 2019 with the Lindenberg book, and I thought it was very hard to study. And I started to say, okay, I'm sure there is something else on the internet. Like, I'm gonna search it up. So that was when I found you. Was 2018. So I started to watch all your videos and do all the exercise and etc. So as soon as I put in my mind that I will only focus on studying, I quit my job and I purchased your course, and then was everything you. I didn't study Lindenberg anymore. I didn't took any book besides the practice exams and the practice problems that I purchased from Islam and Urgesa. That's all. It's you and the books.
Wow, awesome. Now, so you invested quite a bit of money into our courses and preparing for the FE exam. Why did you choose engineer? Why did you choose to decide to get the morning and the afternoon bundle course?
I think it's the same reason that everybody chooses you. I you're awesome.
Oh,
It's a gift, you know. When you have this gift from God that you know how to teach, it's not everybody that does that very well as you. And I've been watching your videos since 2018, 18, I'm sorry, 19. So I knew how good you are at this. I knew if you were preparing something, that was going to be good. So I didn't have doubts, you know, when I purchased your course. I knew it was going to be good. I knew you were doing that for many, many, many months, thinking about, hey, I want to help. And if the course were exactly the same as the videos on YouTube, that was like, okay, totally fine for me. But that exceed my expectations. You know, your course is amazing. It's very awesome.
oh, thank you, Andreza. I really
Mhm.
appreciate it. Thank you for all for the kind words, and I'm really glad it helped you pass the FE exam and also become the engineer that you wanted to become. So you told us a little bit about you felt a little nervous on the first exam. You were, well, I should say you were very nervous. You were very anxious the way you described it. I was like, whoa. Um, what was it like the second time you take it? Did you feel like you were more composed, less anxiety? Were you more calm when you went into the exam?
Completely. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
completely more calm. Yeah, I was like, um, I purchased the exam for 8:30 a.m. and I woke up. I remember waking up 6 a.m. and I live like 20 minutes away from the center, so it was like a 20 minutes driving. I
Mm.
could like leave 8. It would be okay for me. So I woke up 2 hours earlier. I took my shower. I got in a room. I did the meditation for 15 minutes. I took more 5 to 10 minutes to pray, to have a conversation with God, and putting the thoughts on my mind that I was going to do my best. I was not going to pass. I was going to do my best.
Mm.
Um, that if I failed again, that it would be okay because I was ready to do this task at this time. And if I failed for the second time, that would take that as a lesson again. I got in the center, everything was well, I was feeling okay. I got in the chat with the woman at the desk, the front desk, and I was going to get in this again in the room, and then I felt my heart starting to beating up
Mm.
fast. And then I stop it for a while and say, "Hey, let's breathe." And then I made like
Mhm.
5 breaths, like very deep, and like like concentrating in my breath. And then I say, "It's fine. It's okay. You're gonna do that again. You are fine. We are fine." And then I started the exam. So I was like a very completely different person at the time, but I also felt exactly the same sensation in the first time with my heartbeat very fast,
Mhm.
and I just concentrating on that. I didn't like I'm gonna pretend it's not happening. I know you're there. I know you're feeling that, and let's concentrate first.
I think a lot of people feel nervous. I think it's just normal. You know, you're going to the exam, and I remember when I took my exam, I was nervous. I was freaking nervous. My heart was racing. Like you were describing it right now, and then I was remembering my day of the exam and I started getting nervous now. During the exam, did you have a strategy to answering questions?
Uh, I did. I did the thing, yeah, the method that you taught me that going through the hardest questions for sorry, the easiest questions first,
Right.
and doing flag the ones that you know, but it would take you a little bit time to do. Um, but I remember asking you that how do I know if how long it would take me to do the question? So, and I remember you saying me, you read the questions. If you know how to do it very well and fast, you just do. You take the try. If you don't get the answer, just flag and moving on. If you know, but if you read and then you know that it will take like a little bit more, flag and moving on. So I did the first. I remember flagging at least probably 10 to 15 questions in the first sections. And the rest, I was like, okay, I read, I know how to do, and I'm going to do right now. And I did. If I knew that it was taking me a little bit more time than usual, I would flag and then come doing at the end when I finished. So I remember taking 2.5 to no, was 2 hours and 40 minutes to do the first sections. So the first section, yeah, the first part was not the best time, but was I was not like, okay, I have to answer that. And I remember getting stuck in one or two questions. They're like, oh my God, I know that, but I don't remember. And say, whatever, Andreza, just put a letter and move it on. You're not going to remember it. This is not the time for you to try to remember. So I remember I got stuck about two questions. I remember flagging about 15 questions in the first section. And I remember doing the task, the first section, in 2 hours and 40 minutes. I got the break, 25 minutes. And when I came back, I was like, I mean, I think the first time it's more difficult than the second one. I don't know why I still do. And the first and the second section, I did the exam and I finished it. Of course, I flagged it a few questions, but I finished like 30 minutes earlier than my clock, so
Wow.
I could have 30 minutes to go through again the questions that I was not sure. Um, trying to redo some questions that I was like, hey, I know it's wrong. I'm gonna give it a try for this one. So I remember going through a few questions and couldn't answer the few questions in this 30 minutes gap that I had to finish that until the clock was like, hey, you have only 5 minutes to finish the test.
Mhm. There are a lot of students that I think they really spiral during the exam, and like they could still pass the FE exam, but I think because they're so anxious and they let's say I've had a student who couldn't solve like an easy math problem, and then that's it, she spiraled, she couldn't, and she didn't do well in her FE, she didn't pass, and I truly believe that she was, if she was able to calm herself down during that moment and just flag it and move on and be like, it's okay, I'll come back to it later, and not beat herself up for it, she could have easily passed her test.
Mhm.
And so that awareness really helps.
I believe I've been a different person since I started to take therapy serious, in my life. Um, Especially when I came to United States in 2018, when I could find myself alone. I was living in another country. I was speaking another language. I was living with another family, and that was the type that, hey, it's everything new. You need to be new again. Every time that I remember me trying to give up or something, I was like, no, I'm not gonna give up. Like I know I can do that. If someone did, I can do that too.
If a student comes up to you and asks you to list 3 things that really helped you pass the FE exam, what would you say to them?
Um, I would say to try to control your anxiety because you have. It doesn't matter how much mature you are, you're gonna get anxious at the day. So what would you do to make you feel calm, less nervous? This is my first advice. The second advice is study as much as you think you have to. It doesn't matter if you take 6 months, doesn't matter if you take a year, it doesn't matter if you take 3 months. You need to feel that you're ready. And the third advice is enjoy. It's something that I always say, but it's true. If you don't, if that's one advice from my therapist too. If you do not enjoy the path, the way, you always gonna focus at the end. And when this end arrives, you're gonna realize that it was nothing. It didn't mean anything to you. So enjoy.
Got it. Okay. All right. Awesome. Okay. Well, Andreza, thank you so much again for being here today with us. I really enjoyed talking to you, and thank you for sharing your story with us. Um, Congratulations again, passing your FE, and I'm really proud of you. You did pretty awesome.
Oh yeah, everybody now.